Your boy is back. I said the bounce is back. Oh, I got some bad news, and you're not gonna like this. Rumors abound that Shakur Stevenson has signed a one-fight deal with Eddie Hearn's rematch room to face a very unlikely candidate, Joe Cordina of the UK. What makes this worse, what makes this such a bad deal, is that Joe Cordina hasn't had any proper fights at 135, and he's coming directly off of a loss to his last opponent. So he just lost his last fight earlier this year, and now he's moving up. This is a bad look, and I'm going to break down ego thoughts in this video. Now, Shakur Stevenson, I think he's entering that Terrence Crawford run, and I say this not in a good way. Remember when I was saying bad business, bud? Because you got to look at it. Why is this a bad idea? Because some people are like, oh, what do you mean? This is a good fight, Joe Cordina, The reason why I think it's a bad fight is because there's virtually no interest in this particular fight. You guys let me know if you agree or disagree with that in the comment section. But to me, I know boxing and I know America, the USA. Shakur is a name that Americans have been checking for quite some time. I mean, from the days of sparring in the doghouse with Devin Haney when he was probably 16, 17. So people have been checking on him long before Shakur Stevenson became a pro. And that being said, you went with Top Rank. Towards the end, it got rocky, just like Terrence Crawford, where you were at odds with Top Rank, but this is the company you chose. Floyd Mayweather wanted to sign Shakur Stevenson. He even went to the Rio Olympics. Floyd Mayweather famously said that Mayweather Promotions and Al Heyman and PBC is virtually the same thing. They're all family, and they pretty much work together in and under one umbrella. So Floyd Mayweather, you've seen the impact he had on a young Gervonta Davis's career. I respect Gervonta's team, but you can't say that the Floyd Mayweather and being under the Mayweather banner early in Gervonta Davis's career didn't help him out. It absolutely did. And then from that, Gervonta had the skills, the discipline, the dedication, the power, and the team, and the right decisions and the right events, and the backstory to run with that baton. So full credit to him, but I have not a doubt in my mind that early influence from Floyd Mayweather definitely helped Gervonta's career. So imagine Shakur having that cosign, but instead he chose Top Rank, and he chose Top Rank, and Top Rank was out here, giving them the fights that they could, but a lot of them weren't fights that the public was demanding. And then towards the end, Shakur started saying he was blackballed. They didn't let him have Lomachenko, this, that, and the third. Again, Terrence Crawford 2.0. This is exactly what happened with Crawford. While all the PBC guys were on Premier Boxing Champions, getting the fights at welterweight that would move their career along, Bud's career was kind of stifled in the welterweight division, particularly with lackluster events and ultimately not the fights that people demanded and wanted to see. And he was just fighting guys that he could fight, John Molina Jr.'s and guys like Felix Diaz, anybody he could get his hands, Amir Khan, some names, but past prime, past their competitive primes, right? Same thing with Shakur. Shakur couldn't get Lomachenko, just like Terrence Crawford couldn't get Pacquiao. And it is what it is. This is what you chose. You could have went with Floyd Mayweather when he wanted to sign you, and I think you would have been better off. But you chose Top Rank. Now, as a free agent, you do a one-off with Eddie Hearn, which is being reported. Now, the one-off, at least that part makes a bit more sense, because you're not it's kind of like Devin Haney. It's not a full-time commitment. So if you're pursuing the Gervonta Davis fight or whatever other fights, you can, if you get past the Cordina, you can look beyond that and then figure out the rest. So that's perhaps the only saving grace here, is the reports are suggesting that instead of it being a multi-fight deal and a long-term dedication and commitment, you are only committing for a short period of time, which I do like that aspect, as to not bog Shakur down. But I don't know if this is Riyadh season. You guys were saying Turkey is saving boxing. Not with fights like this. Again, you're fighting a guy from 130 pounds, a guy with no brand in America particularly, against an American name, and you're fighting a guy coming directly off of a knockout loss this year, a couple months ago. I don't care what Shakur Stevenson tries to say on social media to uplift Cordina and try to convince the public that this is somebody and a fight that fans requested. But I can think for myself, I don't really want to see this fight. If I watch it, it's just solely because I have a boxing channel and I make money off of boxing. But as a boxing fan, very little interest in this fight. Shakur should definitely win, and that's just that. Another reason, leave it to your boy Ego to cook up. You notice there's a lot of boxing personalities, people in boxing media. They are so concerned with perhaps getting an interview that they cannot do what I do and speak from the heart, wholeheartedly, unapologetic, and speak so scientific on the sport of boxing, because they're worried about losing their precious interview. You know what I mean? I don't even think like that. I'm not making content to hurt people's feelings, to make people mad at me. I'm not doing sensational shock value content. I'm simply talking boxing and speaking real and speaking from the heart. However the public deems these words that I'm stringing together and putting together for you, that's not my worry. That's not my problem. I don't really care. I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart in all these videos how I feel about X, Y, and Z in boxing. Take it, leave it, love it, hate it, could care less. I get it off my chest and I work on my next piece of content. And I'm telling you what it is with Shakur Stevenson. This fight, if this rumor is true, which is looking like there's a great chance that it is a L for Shakur Stevenson. Based on the reasons I've already stated in this video, in addition to you fighting a guy from a lighter weight class that nobody knows brand-wise in boxing that just got knocked out. It's a fight where stylistically, I don't like fights like this because you have more to lose than you do to gain. And it's similar to Crawford versus Madrimov. Another guy, he's not going to do a great job to try to hype up the fight and build up the fight. And to be honest, even if Cordina did try to talk spicy, it would rather look corny. It would probably look kind of corny that you just got stopped and you're talking spicy to a skilled fighter like Shakur Stevenson. So even if he did decide and elect to try to promote the fight aggressively with trash talk like Edgar Berlanga can at least say, I'm bigger than Canelo, I'm young, I'm powerful, and I'm undefeated, right? Cordina doesn't have that going for himself. So it's going to be a hard sell. But beyond that, Shakur has no real gain here, and he has everything to lose. The other thing is, it shows you the organizers of this event have zero, and I do mean zero, idea of how to build a star in America. Whoever that Eddie Hearn, Turkey, wherever this is, because some people are even saying it might be in Saudi Arabia. This is terrible. This is terrible. And it shows me they do not understand American boxing. Here's why. Shakur was with Top Rank. They showed in his very last fight, a hometown fight, the crowd leaving Shakur Stevenson's fight prematurely because they were bored out of their minds, right? Against Artem Harutyunyan. They just put him in, Top Rank put him in with Artem Harutyunyan. He was getting touched up later in the fight and it went the distance after Shakur kept incessantly promising that he was gonna get the knockout, and then it goes the distance. So that was a complete letdown. People were leaving the crowd early. Before that was even worse. It was Edwin De Los Santos, and despite Shakur saying he was injured in the fight was a very slow burn, no real excitement. Shakur fought very negative and very evasive, and he's coming off of these two performances that were not fun fights. Now you're going to put him in there with another guy who's unknown that probably won't produce a scintillating fight, and Joe Cordina, and it's just going to look like cap. So I feel like you're putting him in. This is just such a horrible stylistic matchup to get the proverbial monkey off of Shakur's back in terms of putting to rest and putting to bed what people have been saying about recent Shakur fights. Boring. Why don't you get the stoppage? Blah, blah, blah. Like, for example, what if Shakur doesn't stop Cordina? He just got stopped at 130. So if you struggle or it's even remotely competitive or you don't stop him, it's going to look bad because he was coming off a loss and coming off a stoppage, right? So the other thing is Artem Haratunian and now Cordina, if this serves to be true, that will be for Shakur Stevenson, who definitely says he's the best in the division alongside Gervonta Davis. That will be his second opponent in a row that is coming off of a loss, and this time a stoppage loss. And then Shakur had the audacity to try to belittle Tank for picking Frank Martin, and he badmouthed Frank Martin saying he's not elite. So Shakur's been found out. If you're gonna say Frank Martin's not elite and Tank's a cherry picker and he's not a risky ninja and all this stuff, then what do you look like under any circumstances fighting a guy coming off a loss that no one knows, no one's asking for this fight, and you're sitting up here about to fight him probably in the UK or Saudi because they know the fight would flop even more in America. It's just, there's no justification for this. And again, this is a guy who's saying he wants to fight Tank. This doesn't move you closer to Tank. No matter how you beat Cordina or if you beat him, it literally will not make your name blow up or make the Tank fight like, oh, he just knocked out Cordina, so now I got to see the Gervonta Davis fight. So these poor business decisions from Shakur will further create separation. Tank in his last several fights, he's fought how many undefeated fighters? Frank Martin was undefeated. Hector Luis Garcia was undefeated. Ryan Garcia was undefeated. Mario Barrios was undefeated, right? I mean, who am I missing? Who else did he fight? Rolly was undefeated, right? And in Pitbull at the time, I think he had 1 or 2 losses, maybe 1. You know what I mean? And this is, people are complaining about Shakur's resume. Shakur's pushing 30. He's getting closer to that 30 mark. And this fight, you left Top Rank, free agent, and this is your first foray into the free market, just like Terrence Crawford. He left Top Rank, his first foray into the free world and the free market was David Avocado. I mean, these just don't build to anything. No one wanted to see these fights. So like Big Bro, like Lil Bro, Terrence Crawford and Shakur have made very similar moves in their career.